Hi, Eric.
Hello.
Eric Muller, your Director of Policy Ontario
You got it.
for CanRIA.
Happy to be here.
I know, it's great. I'm happy to be here. This is just an amazing, conference, get together, networking opportunity. Thanks so much to your organization for putting this on.
Thank you. It's exciting. Yeah, I think it's the biggest Electricity Transformation Canada conference yet.
No kidding.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
huge.
I have to agree. What are you hoping yourself? I'll ask that question. And what is your hope for everybody here? So let's start with you first.
Yeah, definitely. For myself, I'm reconnecting with my members from the Canadian Renewable Energy Association. So developers and buyers of clean energy, financiers, insurance. I'm connecting with the people I know, and I've been meeting a lot of new people as well. So that's kind of my goal. I love the education sessions and getting to know what's going on out there, but very much so it's reconnecting and meeting new people. That's where I get a lot of value in these kind of things. I think others do too, bringing everyone together from across Canada, but lots of people from the US, Europe, Asia. I think it's quite an international audience from what I can tell.
It really is. And talking to the people here, everyone's enthusiastic. They come with a really great mindset, here to learn and talk to one another. If you're antisocial, this is not the place for you, right?
There's a place for introverts too. We
Yeah.
all have
Oh, there's
a
quiet
role.
zones. They're sprinkled throughout for sure. So in the next year or so, what's your role looking like? What do
Yeah,
you? Yeah.
absolutely. So my role as director of policy for Ontario is, in the most basic sense, to create the conditions in Ontario, where we are right now, we're in Toronto, create the conditions for more wind, solar, and storage to be deployed in this province. And also for the existing wind, solar, and storage to continue to run and operate as well as possible for as long as possible.
Right.
So over the next year, we have some very large procurements coming. Well, they're right around the corner in this
And what
province
industry?
uh, for for wind, solar, and for storage. So it's looking quite good. Um, a large amount of, I'll just say the numbers, a large amount of terawatt hours being procured over the next 5 years, 4 years in this province. So 14 terawatt hours of energy is being procured. That's a lot.
It is.
1,600 megawatts of capacity being procured over the next 4 years. These are competitive procurements, and we're very confident that wind and solar and storage are going to be extremely competitive. So, competitive environment has its, I think I would say actually is a positive thing for our sector because we're the lowest cost resources, and so we've been really working very closely with the government of Ontario, very closely with the grid operator, that's the independent electricity system operator, the transmitters like Hydro One, to set this up for success.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm excited about. And we continue to work on that. So things are lined up. And now over the next year, just keeping all of the uh, kind of the in the weeds stuff moving along so that there's a lot of success.
Right.
So permitting and regulations and all the different nitty gritty rules to make sure everything
Mhm.
is deployed successfully.
So how do you listen to the industry? How do you keep your finger on the pulse?
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe this is a bit of a plug for CanRIA,
Hey, it's
the
okay.
Canadian Renewable Energy Association. So I have monthly calls with my members. There are many, well, I'd say hundreds of people who are invited and participate in these calls. And so I'm feeding intelligence to my member base. And I'm also getting their input on, all right, this policy is what we're hearing is coming from the government on grid scale renewables, or this regulation is coming from the IESO on a local generation program. And so I'm in tune with what's happening in kind of decision makers with, all of our advocacy, feeding that to our member base, and then getting all of their input and positions on how should we approach this? What positions should we take?
Yeah.
And similarly, we have an elected steering committee in Ontario as well from those members, and they are very involved at an even more day-to-day basis. So I'm getting that kind of feedback constantly
Mhm.
in those meetings, and obviously talking with my members every day. to hear what their interests are.
Yeah. And if I was somebody in the renewable energy sector, you know, what would you tell them on the policy side? Is there any advice that you would have to give?
Oh, that's a big question
I
for
know,
sure.
right?
Um, if you're like a renewable energy developer doing a big project, or if you're a local developer doing kind of like rooftop solar on people's homes,
Right.
two very different
Yeah.
environments.
Yeah. Mm,
Let's jump onto both, I guess.
okay, let's start big. Yeah.
If you're going big,
Yeah.
I would say, well, I think the real key recipe to success is number one, Indigenous partnerships
Yes.
are critical.
Mhm.
Um, Not only do you get bonus points in these procurements, it's also just the right thing to do, and that's kind of the mode of doing business going forward. That is just,
Yeah.
I think, just
Collaboration,
the way it has
partnering.
to be, the way
Yeah.
it has to be in a positive sense.
Yes. Yes.
And so that needs to continue. So build those relationships, and work on them. They're not going to happen overnight. It moves at the speed of trust. So that's key.
Yeah.
And so start with that. Municipal relationships as well. So
Mhm.
cities and communities, you need to have that municipal buy-in, that municipal support, and the communities that are within municipalities, the business communities, the elected officials, municipal councils. You want to have good relationships, do good engagement with municipalities. And it doesn't hurt to, have the government and the IESO to know who you are and that you are a serious player who is a responsible developer making good decisions, doing things right,
Right.
to build big projects. On the smaller scale,
Hmm.
I think it's like very much about customer trust with those local customers. If they're homeowners or small businesses, really just trying to have good business practices with those customers. And I'd say for the smaller scale stuff, it's an always shifting environment on the policies and the incentives. A loan program may be here from the federal government and then it shifts and it maybe changes. So how do you pivot? So that's the challenge. There are challenges there and there are
Yeah.
opportunities. So to keep in tune with all the various incentives and programs that we at Canria are tracking,
Hmm.
that are coming and going, and to take advantage of those.
Before I release you, um, paint for me a day in the life of Eric Muller, Director of Policy, Ontario.
Oh yeah. So I might have a call with one of my members in the morning and hear about what they're working on, and something, maybe I'll get some intelligence from them from their recent conversation with government or something like
Hmm.
that. Then I may be going into a meeting with a particular government ministry or agency, and advocating a position on, agricultural land use or crown land access, or, whatever it may be, transmission deliverability. Maybe I'm having a meeting with someone in government. So that might be happening. Then we'll get together in the afternoon, our whole policy team across the country.
Right.
I have counterparts in every province in this country and region. And so we will all compare notes. What's going on in BC? What's happening in Atlantic Canada? What are the policies for wildlife and bats and birds in Alberta or
Yeah.
BC, and what's happening in Ontario? How can we learn from each other? So that might be happening. And then, maybe get some time for some heads down, time to work on a position paper or
Right.
a submission that we're going to make to government or to some government agencies for our consultation to put forward some arguments that we want to. So a lot of relationships, a lot of collaboration, a lot of that kind of thing, but also kind of the heads down, that ground game.
Guidance. Do
Oh
you
yeah.
give a lot of guidance?
Oh yeah, it's intelligence and guidance both directions, and it's advocating for what this sector needs,
Hmm.
and having a unified voice. We'll have wind, solar, and storage players, and some build in those specific technologies, and some do all three.
Yeah.
and they may not all agree all the time on, where they want to land, but my role, I think the challenge and the joy and the fun of my role is trying to find that alignment that's going to bring the whole sector up and be that rising tide that brings all the boats up, so to speak,
Mhm.
so that everyone has more opportunities and that pie gets bigger and bigger for everyone. And we want to take and own as much of that future electricity pie as
Mhm.
possible. And that's what we're working on.
Great job, Eric.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, it was great talking with you. Thank you.